Hey everybody, welcome back to Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy at Studio 34, the Fantasy Sports Network, West 35th Street in the Renaissance Hotel in New York City. And we had a great time out of the studio, out in Rugby Town, USA, Glendale, Colorado, for the Rugby Town Sevens. And aside from just seeing spectacular rugby, including 6 Olympic gold medal winners from Fiji and the legend Serevi playing with them, we also got to talk to Coach Mike Friday of Team USA Sevens. And as always, it was thoroughly entertaining. Here's that piece. Coach, good to see you.
Yeah, great to be here. I mean, it's hot out there. And there's altitude as well, so we're struggling for a little bit of breath, but I'm sure we won't be short of a word.
I saw you were a little bit banged up from maybe working out here in the altitude. We did get a little video of you getting worked on. Well, what was going on there?
Well, you've got to realise that when you get to this age, you think you're younger than you are. And I did the running day one at altitude and paying the price.
With Phil?
Yeah, well, Phil was kind of doing a power walk. And ultimately, Kevin has had to put me back together. And even he was shaking his head saying, I should know better.
Well, we're glad that you didn't, because that was worthwhile watching that. What do you say to the rumors that you're going to be taking over as head coach of the 15s program as well?
Well, rumours are rumours, and that's all they are. Look, the reality is that I'm a firm believer in North America. The keys to the kingdom to unlocking the beast that is USA Rugby is the Sevens. And Dan Payne and Alex Magleby want me 100% focused on the men's Sevens and ensuring that we try and break into the top 4 in the world. We are recognised as a world's force, but we are a consistent world force. We've got a Rugby World Cup Sevens next summer.
Yes.
We're going for the Olympics 2020, and if we can unlock and get into the Olympics, that is the keys to the kingdom.
What do you mean if?
If. Well, there's always an if. There's always an if.
What do you mean?
There's always an if.
The only if involved is if you are not coaching the Sevens team, then they might not go.
Well, if we make it next year, we have to go to the North Americas. We're going to aim for the top 4. That's the key.
Yes.
We want automatic qualification. That's where we believe we are as a group. And that's not about arrogance, that's not about being overconfident, that's about where we should set our stall out and where we should set our standards.
Well, you've proven that you're right there in the mix.
We are, and I think unfortunately for us, we have been almost kind of too successful because everybody thinks everything's rosy in the garden. And the fact of the matter is we are hanging on by a tooth now at the coalface. And we need the rest of the USA Rugby public and we need the USA sporting public to get behind us, because we can create something special here on the Sevens which can unlock the door to the world of 15s for USA Rugby.
Speaking to the creating something special for Sevens, I know there's talk about copying the cricket model with the IPL and maybe making some of these little setups. Explain that.
This is just me kind of free thinking with Alex and a colour. I mean, entrepreneurial.
Which means it's going to happen.
Well, if I have anything to do it, we'll try and make it happen. Of course we do. It's about doing things. We need to affect change in the USA Rugby landscape, and there's too many talkers and we need some doers. And the long and the short of it for me is, the way I see it, we've got a gap in the television window between the NFL and the NBA.
And with the whole circuit
and the World Series, there is, but we still have enough time where it won't be perfect, but we could create a domestic tournament that attracts some of the players from around the world, very similar to what they did in Sri Lanka on the Carlton Sevens. 6 or 7 venues over 8 weeks, 8 franchises, and they play on a one-day tournament.
One-day tournament.
A one-day tournament, all in 14 players, and. How
many matches in the day?
Well, to win it, probably 4, maybe 5. But that's why you need 14-man squads. At one point, you might have to play back-to-back, but you'd have to rotate your 7 on, 7 off. You bring in international coaches that can mentor local coaches. You have international star players from the world circuit together with domestic Eagle players. You position it so the best of the CRCs.
And would the other unions be okay with this kind of thing? The
precedents are there. I mean, New Zealand have released players for the Carlton Sevens. USA, Kenya, England, Fiji, South Africa. It's all happened in the previous past. I think it's about making sure that the player welfare is there, that the players, more importantly, are remunerated to make it worth their while.
So you bring up a good point, the player welfare. Playing the devil's advocate, we've got USRPA being formed, the United States Rugby Players Association. That's a trademark on the acronym. Would they have a problem with the players not having the time off? How would you manage that?
Well, like anything, the part of the role and the job of heading a program is to ensure that you manage your players' seasons. And we have proven, and we continue to do that we are able to manage the players' downtime and their off time to ensure that they are not compromised. And the reality is you have to be 100% fit to play in any, whether we...
But they're also getting, they're getting paid, like you said.
Well, the reality is that we can supplement their income, because the true reality for the USA Men's Sevens is that we are not remunerating them to the level that they need to, or their
not that it's $24,000. I'm not going to say that.
The equivalents around the world, and unfortunately, whilst we are a Tier 2 rugby nation, we are a Tier 1 economy, which means that the cost of living and the cost of operating in the USA is like the cost of living in England and New Zealand, where these boys are all, shall we say, played significantly. I mean, we're talking multiples more than our boys, but our boys don't whinge, they don't complain, they get their heads down, they get on with it. But we need to find a way to ensure that they can take their girlfriends and their wives out for dinner, and they can buy their kids ice cream. And I know that sounds
unreasonable.
I know that sounds very
20K or 20-something K a year. It doesn't go anywhere.
They're the challenges that we have, and they're like all things. There's commercial challenges, and we've got to create a forum. We've got to create commercial opportunities and structures to reward our players, because they are sacrificing a lot to become and operate and be accountable and represent our country.
And you guys also have something in the works now, the CARE
program? We operate the CARE program. It's been going now for kind of 6 to 9 months, and for me it's a big part of the Rugby Men's Sevens program, in the fact that we want to develop men holistically. We're not just about developing as rugby players. We create a better man, we create a better rugby player. So, you know,
future broadcasters for Rugby Wrap-Up.
Well, Perry Baker, he's the man. He wants to get into commentary, and we've given opportunities to NBC.
Perry, open invitation, kid. Open invitation to Speed Stick.
He will eat it up. But I mean, we've done all those things. You know, we're very fortunate. Again, Alex Mayweather's been a powerhouse at the forefront of this, along with, you know, the Golden Eagles, and they don't like to be named individually, so I'll just refer to them as the collective Golden Eagles, who, from philanthropy and donation and business network and opportunities, they've been absolutely first class. But we need to broaden that. We need to identify businesses that will sponsor and provide career opportunities to these boys for 2 or 3 months. For example, Danny Barrett's been up in Portland on a career opportunity for 3 months, paid, and it's, you could argue it's not value for money for this for the business in terms, but they have an attachment now with Danny Barrett. And
has anybody tried to shoot him thinking he was a bear?
He actually is quite smart. He looks a very different man in a suit.
Sharp, yeah, he is. He cleans up nice.
Another great example, Brett Thompson spent two months in China learning project management, learning about the manufacturing business. He's very apprehensive about going because he doesn't know what to expect. His eyes have opened, he's had a fantastic experience, and he's got a real business experience. You know, they're assets, and we have a responsibility when they're representing the country to continue to develop them and provide them opportunities whilst they're putting things on hold to represent the country and be the best rugby players they can. They can't stand still.
And then we got to get them some money too.
And we've got to get them,
because they're going to get pilched by somebody, you know, like a team overseas or something like that.
We don't want cannibalisation in our own country about leagues and people operating in silos.
Which segues into
Major League Rugby. Hold that thought. All right, folks, we got to take a quick break, but we have more with Coach Friday right after this.
Hi, I'm Nate Ebner with the New England Patriots, and you're watching RugbyWrapUp.com.
The world's top professional rugby competition is bringing excitement to Philadelphia this September with English Premiership Rugby's American Series. Come experience current European champions Saracens taking on Newcastle Falcons at Talon Energy Stadium on September 16. Tickets are on sale now for the inaugural match of English Premiership Rugby's American Series at www.spectratix.com.
All right, everybody, how's it going? We sip, we peel, and we slide. Nah, like this. We sip, we peel, we win.
I think I'm getting this. Grab a large or extra large freshly ground, freshly brewed hot coffee for your chance to win great prizes like free coffee for a year. Get your celebration ready. Dunkin' Donuts. This is coffee. This is winning.
If you're just joining us, this is a big match and a big moment as Clijsters toes the line.
You know, John, Anderson has really been struggling out there today. Mistake as Clijsters clinches another title. Don't let your nutrition get in the way. USANA, the official multivitamin of the WTA.
Hey everybody, we're back. Matt McCarthy for Rugby Wrap-Up.
at the Studio 34 Fantasy Sports Network in the Renaissance Hotel on West 35th Street in New York City. And here's the rest of our interview with Mr. Mike Friday. All right, Mike, we left off talking about the MLR, Major League Rugby, right here in Glendale.
In order for USA Rugby to succeed on the global stage, we have to fully support and make sure that the best players are available to play for their country. Now, that can provide conflicting times when the ML League is on. But you know, ultimately, USA Rugby is the custodian for the game in the country, and what we don't want is silo effect. We need to have collegiate, collaborative strategies.
No cannibalism.
No cannibalism. It's not good for you.
You know, the one thing about the last setup, Pro Rugby USA setup, is they were trying to work around the Eagles' schedule.
They were trying to work around the Eagles 15 schedule.
That's what
they weren't trying to work around the Eagles 7 schedule. I think it's impossible
to work around both.
100%. I think you're right, but I think there has to be an understanding that the most highest profile players in the world are the Eagles 7s players outside of Samu and probably Chris Wiles. Perry Baker lands in Asia. They know who he is. If Danny Barrett, the beast, lands anywhere, they know who he is. If Madison Hughes, the poster boy, the college kid, lands anywhere. In the world of rugby, we need to create the alternative role model to Tom Brady. And I know that sounds a big, far-fetched thing for an English bloke to say, but
not really. You did have Nate Ebner under your umbrella, and he's the direct line to Tom Brady.
And there's my point. Nate Ebner, again, that provides another real
unbelievable
opportunity. Unbelievable story for a man that was a rugby player that went to the NFL, succeeded, and then came back to rugby. And I didn't give him much of a hope or a chance.
And then went back and
then went back and won a Super Bowl. And you know, Nate has been absolutely first class for us. But what it opens the door for us to understand is that right now, until we position rugby to sit in the high schools and the colleges to complement, and I mean complement, NFL and NBA, and we need to educate the coaches that we're not there to compete, we're not there to make them worse football or basketball players, we'll make them better. And we want them to chase that American dream.
NCAA sanctioning?
Yeah. I don't know what that means.
That's the NCAA, that's the college. So the women's rugby looks like they're getting it if they haven't already, and I got to check on that.
Does that make that a varsity sport? Well, if that happens, then surely, under my understanding, they've got to do the same with the men.
For equal rights.
Apparently, yeah. So,
I don't know. We'll have to check that.
Should work both ways.
I got two more questions for you.
Yeah.
Beating New Zealand with Kenya as the Kenyan coach or England with USA at Twickenham was a bigger thrill?
Winning Twickenham.
And beating England to win.
And beating in the semi and then doing a job on was amazing.
Were you using any kind of gestures toward the press box?
There was a few of those old boys from times gone by.
Two finger salute.
I don't know, but maybe the victory one. I don't know.
The reverse.
But I mean that was special for me, and it's the home of rugby, and. To go there and to do it in the fashion that the boys did. I mean, we are recognised as a team with great balance that plays great, attractive, attacking rugby. Sometimes we shoot ourselves in the foot, which is the other side of us, and you saw that in this year's series. We could have, if we'd have not shot ourselves in the foot 3 or 4 times, we would have been in the top 4 and we would have had at least 2 tournament wins. But that's the growing pains that we're still working on with our players.
And here's the thing, I mean, financially and structurally, we're tier 2. But this is a tier 1 team competitively now.
Without a shadow we are, but that's our 1 to 12. We need to find 13 to 25, and that comes back to this high school point and broadening the depth and the talent pool and working and educating to create that. Because for me, Nate Ebner is a prime example. Anybody that's got rugby EQ from the 12 years to 18 that then chases their American dream and then come back to rugby because it doesn't work out, or they're like Nate and they have an opportunity to do that, it takes 6 to 9 months. If I get them raw and we get them on a turnover, and Perry's probably the best example of that, who was kind of playing at the game at 18, 19, 22, 23, it's taken till the age of 30, 31.
So where did he go, Tiger Rugby Academy?
He was with a club, and I can't remember the club or the man that inspired him, and then from there he went to Tiger.
Tiger's doing great stuff.
And now we're looking potentially at Perry Baker being named the World Player of the Year. If he's not, if I'm honest with you, it's a travesty. But I am biased. But every coach and every player on the circuit this year.
Well, I mean, Danny missed the final 2 stops and was still in the all tournament team, right?
And Danny missed the beast is...
He's amazing.
He's come a long way, but Danny has had to work hard, and he's had to put up with me for 3 years in his ear, which has been tough for Danny at times, because Danny is in your face. I'm in your face. So at times...
Listen, he had Jack Clark, so it's not like he's not used to it, right?
But I think that one, he used to look up to Jack, and now it's slightly different.
And action! This is all baby rugby. And louder!
This is all Navy Rugby. You're watching Rugby Wrap Up.
I've been noticing on Twitter that you have been in battles on Twitter, Trump-esque battles, if you will. But what do you want to say to the guys out there, or the women out there, that think that you're only a part-time
the shadows?
coach?
Yeah, I mean, I should know better, but I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I am on social media there, and I'm happy to...
Which is great and refreshing.
I am me, so the reality is I'm not perfect.
Right.
And likewise...
Oh, don't you say that in my presence.
Well, but the reality is that I should not engage with as they call it, these type of individuals, but they're American fans, and they have an opinion, and if I think they're misinformed on their opinion, and this particular individual who starts to say that I'm only in the country 12 weeks of the year and I'm part-time, clearly has no idea about how international rugby or international programs work. And the fact of the matter is, if you look at me in the last 12 months, I probably was in the country, I was in the country June, July, August, because I had 3 months stint away from
and then
home.
You're out of the country with the team.
Then I'm out of the country with the team, and also I'm with training, but we work on periodisation. We work on program cycles, and I don't need to be in the country for the 5 days they're off. I don't need to be in the country for the 5, 6, 7 days that they have at the start of each periodisation for their conditioning and the skills, because it's all set. And they can't handle me being there 100% of the time. Then they have days off, then we overload, then we come down, and then we travel. So we're meticulous on our planning, and as a consequence, I have 2 boys that are settled at school in England, and
you got to uproot them.
Well,
uproot them.
And if it didn't,
just for the guys out there.
Just for those 2. But my point is this: if anybody ever questions my commitment, then they hit a value. And this is what these individuals are, and then they're misinformed. They don't understand international rugby, and they throw stones from afar. And I'm offered to sit down with these guys, but they don't want to meet. They just want to chuck their stones. There are many directors of rugby in England that are never seen at their club from week to week, and only are there 1 day a week. They're not deemed part-time.
How do I get that job?
Still working. But they're not part-time because they're off in the boardrooms. They're off. So all the stuff I'm working in the background with the Golden Eagles, with Alex Magleby, the planning, the logistics.
So you're late. What you were saying is you're lazy.
I'm lazy. That's just what they're all saying. I'm lazy. And
your record speaks for itself.
But results are one thing, but we have a responsibility to impart our knowledge. We have open house, so we've had at least 50, 60 coaches that have come into our camps that we've spent time with, that we've helped mentored. That's open house. And more often than not, our whole scouting program this summer, we've been at every event. Either I've been there, Phil's been there, or Brownie's been there.
No, I've seen you guys,
I'm all for you coming at us, and all for you challenging us. But there comes a point where if you're misinformed...
Be somewhat accurate.
Be accurate. If you're misinformed, and you're not prepared to be educated or to come and learn and challenge and meet face to face, then, hey, you don't hit the values, for me, that typify the great game that we have.
Absolutely. Well said, Coach. Who's going to be the next head coach for Team USA? 15s.
15s. I was going to say, did you know something I didn't know?
Yeah, you're taking over the 15 squad. What Mike didn't know is that we have a surprise.
Do you know what? I'm unsure.
Give me
about
3 names.
I don't know.
Oh, come on. You know what? I'm going to start tweeting against you.
In my defence, I do not know who they are talking to. It's that close.
That's because you're a part-time coach.
That's right. Well, and to be fair, I would hope that when the timing's right, and I'm hoping I'll be consulted, because in reality is there has to be synergies, there has to be collaboration between the 15s and 7s to ensure that we're on the right page. Will they go overseas or will they stay domestic? I think dependent on where we are, you've got to understand the rugby landscape in the USA. I mean, that is an education in itself. You've got to understand that the majority of our players are still playing at a semi-pro or amateur level. So the question is, whilst World Rugby and that might say you need a high-profile international name, the question is actually, do you need that, or do you need somebody who has an understanding of how the rugby landscape operates here that can get the best out of what we can get?
And maybe for less money.
Maybe that some of that money can be redirected to the front of shop 7s, which can allow us to evolve and grow there, which will then unlock and open the door for 15s later down the track. Because unfortunately for USA, they have to take this on the chin in the 15s. On the onset of professionalism in New Zealand, England, Southern Hemisphere in '95, USA was probably 4 or 5 years behind. The problem is that they've now accelerated 20 years and USA have stood still on that front.
And that just means it's
now we're 20, 25 years behind. And the reality of that means as follows, that if you invest in a high-class international coach that doesn't understand and is going to get frustrated by the expectations and what he has to deal with, and you're going to go to the World Cup in 2019, in the pool that you're in, what does success look like? Because to the USA Rugby public, they're expecting quarterfinals.
It's insane.
It's beyond insane.
Yeah. Super Sevens. What do you think of Super Sevens?
I've given you the credible alternative. I don't see it. It's 45-minute game. No.
The IPL setup is a better setup.
It's more attractive to the American public. It ticks all the boxes. It's participation with the crowd, the supporters. It's more entertaining for NBC. It's not stagnant. It's more players. It's more colour. It's more variety. There's associations and tribal wherever the franchises are around the country. It can move it around. You can spread it. You can create more interest everywhere. Super Sevens, you've got 2 teams playing for an hour.
On that note, Coach Mike Friday here with Matt McCarthy for Rugby Wrap-Up in Rugby Town, USA, Glendale, Colorado, signing off. How do you address the rumors that Mike Friday is the head coach and you're not?
Well, you know, I just like to be the man behind the scenes. You know, everyone knows the truth, really. He's the face that upsets everyone, and I'm the one that cleans everything up. I'm really the brains behind the operation.
Thank you, Coach.
No problem. I just wanted to clarify that.
And there you have it. Always, always a pleasure with Coach Friday. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Phil. And thank you, Mayor Mike, out at Rugby Town, USA, and everybody out there. You guys were great. Can't wait to go again. And on behalf of all of you, Matt McCarthy for Rugby Wrap-Up at the Studio 34 Fantasy Sports Network here on West 35th Street in New York City, signing off.